Well, hello. It's the end of day 3. Kind of feels like also the end of day 2, because it's been one continuous stream of activity from the end of the previous time of the previous recording and this one. I basically that day was filled with doing the last remaining bit of distance to get out of England to the dock, and get on a boat and go across the channel. And that was I don't know how long that took. Maybe 8 hours or something like this. I don't know, a long time. 8, 9, maybe 9 hours even. Yeah, and but I do have my bike with me, so yeah, some of that I was able to ride on my bike, but yeah, I've given up on the idea of trying to ride the bike now because I don't have a rack, and I have a backpack, and it's near impossible to ride with a loaded, sizable and loaded backpack upon one's back. It may be, for like 30 minutes, an hour or something, but for hours, plural, day after day, it's not possible. It hurts you in places and in ways you wouldn't think were possible. Like you feel it in your arms from the loading going down onto the bars. There's extra weight on the bars. There's extra weight on your what is that body part called? The bit that sits on the seat of a bike. I don't know what it's called. A perineum, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, it's just incredibly painful. It's impossible to sit down, impossible to stand up because of the weight on the bars of the arms, and yeah. So yeah, the new thing is now tying the all of my luggage to the bike and basically using it as a like a pack animal or something, right? It's a pack bike that I just walk alongside me, and it's like kind of like the best of both worlds, really. Yeah, because I kind of prefer walking to cycling anyhow. But the problem I've always had with walking is carrying a backpack. It just ruins the whole experience. It's just a sufferfest, really, more than this very deep contemplative undertaking. And now that I don't have the weight on my back, it's causing me like an insane amount of pain. Walking is again this deep contemplative activity. So yeah, so there's that, right? But anyway, we got to the dock, we got the boat, and the boat was kind of late leaving. Left at like 11 or something like this, and with the time change, crossing the channel, arrived at 2 in the morning in France. And then, yeah, I wasn't really sure whether I was gonna bother trying to find a place to camp. I was kind of a little bit wired on I don't know, the thrill of having gone through with this incredibly impulsive decision of mine to begin this trip. And I had kind of framed it in my mind that it was only kind of something more than a pipe dream, something that I was actually doing once I had been so bold to cross the channel and actually go into another country. It kind of sealed the whole thing for me and officiated it. And so I was kind of yeah, a little bit hyped up about that, I think. And I just kind of wanted to get out of the area that the ship landed in. It's very like industrial and not very nice. and see how much ground I could cover before I started to get tired. And yeah, it turns out I didn't get tired. I mean, I did, but by the time I was actually starting to feel tired, it was dawn had broken, and pitching a tent at like 8 in the morning didn't seem like too great an idea. I thought it was better to just have like naps here and there, and just as much as possible try and plow through the day, and then get back onto like a routine of pitching a tent in the evenings and getting proper sleep and so on. Works much better in the long run. I know this from previous experience of doing bike tours and stuff like this. It's very important to have like a solid routine way of doing things, otherwise it's very easy to burn out. Yeah, and so 8 in the morning I just went some dunes outside of Dunkirk, and just had like a fitful nap in the. It was incredibly cold, actually. It's bizarre. It's like the 1st of June, and it's just incredibly cold wind. It's just blowing incessantly from the east. Very, very turbulent, and yeah. So I didn't stay there too long. Although, of course, my body wanted more sleep. I just decided to get up and continue with the walk, and started out pretty strong going. Managed to, within the first 2 or 3 hours, get out of France and into Belgium, which is where I am now. And so, yeah, for the most part today, I've been walking along the coast of Belgium, which has been not too bad, and also not too good. Just kind of a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Very, yeah, this is a very overcrowded part of the world. It's kind of absurd in many ways walking along this coast in Belgium that I've been walking on today, and there's like a town, and then the town limits will end. You'll see the signs for it, and so on, and there'll be like like 500 meters or something of highway, and like some copses of trees on either side, or one side of the road, because the dunes and stuff are on the other. And then you'll arrive at another town that's wholly kind of distinct from the previous one, and yet it's only 500 meters away. Yeah, and because of that particular peculiarity of this part of the world, I was caught a little bit more short, a little bit more than short, with going to the bathroom. Yeah, it's not the first time this has happened to me, actually, and it occurred in very similar circumstances where it's like, yeah, being really, really needing to urinate, but being in an urban area where there are well, there are public toilets, but they're few and far between, and you don't know the area, and the need is so great that it's kind of out of the question of trying to find one, and so you sort of make a beeline for the nearest trees or whatever, or try an area of trees or bushes or whatever, somewhere where you can kind of conceal yourself at least somewhat. And yeah, sometimes they're not kind of entirely forthcoming, and the longer this situation is drawn out, the more frantic one becomes in the efforts to find at least somewhat suitable location, and then the criteria for what is actually a suitable location sort of just rapidly begins to lower, right? until, it's you would take a piss just at a bus stop surrounded by people or something like this. Um, and yeah, today I managed to get to some bushes, but um, it's just grim. Like I'm like walking along the highway, nowhere to take a piss, and then finally, like, I'm just on the verge of pissing myself, and I see some bushes, and I just throw down my bike and run into these bushes, and like as I'm running, my bladder already starts to release, and then to just make it worse, I get all like tangled up, and yeah, I basically just emptied the entirety of my bladder like in my pants, right? Um, so yeah, that's cool. That's cool. But you know what to do, right? There's no point kind of making a big thing out of it, because the thing is done, right? And I did everything that I possibly could to try and prevent it from happening. And then, once it happened, right, there's only so many things I can do, particularly in this situation, right? Like, I just had to continue walking down the highway basically with just like soaked in piss. Um, so yeah, that was a cool thing that happened today. Very cool. Um, what else? Um, yeah, like another nap, extended nap underneath some tree, like in these area of dunes. Um, yeah, that was very serene moment, just lying there, like adjacent to the street, basically. So people were walking past me, like I was kind of like there was like a little dirt path. My bike was leaning up against a fence to one side of the path, and I was on the other side of the path, lying in the grass underneath this tree. And yeah, people were like walking like directly through this, along on this path, and right next to my body and my head and so on. But I was just so uh, like that deep exhaustion, right? Where it's almost like you feel like you've been sedated in some way, where you just feel this very incredibly satisfying ache in all of your muscles, and it's just, I don't know, you just feel kind of like delicious. Um, and I was just kind of lying there, like in these like moments of consciousness between these fitful hypnagogic trances, and just looking at the wind blowing in the trees, and the sunlight sort of filtering through, and not really knowing exactly what I was looking at entirely, but I don't know. There was something to it. Something that, like I would never do that kind of shit on an average day, and um, I'm not if I'm not moving around, basically. Um, yeah, and then after that, I was done with that. I kind of tried to make the final push for the day, get myself on the stretch of road that I want to be on at the beginning tomorrow. I have like 38 kilometers or something to walk to Bruges. That's kind of the general area I want to finish up at tomorrow, and then I think the next day try to head towards Antwerp, and then the next day from there into the Netherlands. Something like that. It's a very rough kind of plan. I still have to look at the distances to see if it's realistic, but those are the general markers. And I'm not going to these cities. I'm just using them as, markers, right? To the general area, sort of this trail that I'm following, right? Um, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to say. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, there probably was. I probably made some sort of put like mental pins in a few things earlier on when I was walking and thinking like, yeah, I can incorporate that into this recording that I'm going to be doing later and this recording. But yeah, I completely forgot them now. As I said, I've had less than an hour's sleep and done, a lot of moving around. Like, I don't know. I'm like I said in the previous one, I'm not really calculating distances or times walked, whatever. I'm just walking, just feeling it, Um, was it the famous Shakespeare line? I can't remember. Or was it? No, I don't know the name of the character. Maybe he's blind or something. And another, I think, I want to say this is from Hamlet, but I don't know for sure. Someone can correct me if they know, and if they feel so inclined, of course. Um, yeah, someone to this blind character asks him how do you see the world, and he says feelingly. Um, so I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing with this, right? Just feeling my way through it. Um, not trying to force my will upon whatever it is that is occurring. Um, yeah. Tomorrow is another day. We head towards Bruges, and yeah, that's all I really know about tomorrow. That's all that's on the agenda. Just get up and walk, which I really like. This is it really cleans out the mind, I feel. Just having this single, uh, single, very like single-minded way of being, single-minded way of behaving. Just having one thing to do and doing that all day and then repeating. And of course, doing it on one's own terms, right? That's part of the kicker, right? Because I mean, you could say the same about some people's jobs. It's doing one thing, the same thing, day in, day out. But the difference is with this, it's self-directed, self-initiated, um, and yeah, it's very, very cleansing. Is I guess the main thing that's coming to me now, and I've kind of been feeling. In particular, when I think about the moment underneath the tree, where it's like, as human beings, as human animals, in many ways, it's the answer to our problems are so simple. Just this quest, many of us have to feel a certain way to prime our neurotransmitters, to afford us some such desired outcome. The drugs people take and all this shit, looking for something that is just freely given by one's environment if they are behaving in an evolutionarily appropriate way, right? Something like that. And I'm not a nature worshipper. I'm not a pagan. I'm not an anarcho-primitivist. None of this stuff. But the fact of the matter is that there are some basic things that the body requires, and because the body and the mind are a unit, and you can't have expect to have a healthy mind, a healthy psychological state without having a healthy body. It goes without saying, right? But to actually experience it is, it's a whole other thing. And of course, it's debatable also whether there's this deeper strata of that which is somehow I don't know, separate to the mind body matrix, and doesn't require these evolutionarily appropriate inputs. And if one takes a seat in such a thing, then they can be perpetually content, blissful, something like this. Just changing the way I'm sitting here because my arm has gone dead. No, I just remembered one final point. I have a problem with my knee. Kind of a secondary problem with my knee, I guess, because it's been the reason why I have this problem now is because I already had a problem with my knee. It's a different problem. I had a knee injury like some years ago, and it was never fully rehabilitated because of this pandemic stuff. I wasn't able to see a physiotherapist when I needed to. And so, I don't know, they never were able to explain what had actually happened to my knee or give me any way of re-strengthening it after I came off of crutches and was able to put weight on it and use it again as somewhat as I had been able to before. And so instead of that, I just taken to oftentimes wearing braces of different sorts, and for the last because of the last 2 days and not actually having a proper break, that it's just been like a continuous stream of activity. I never took the brace off, and so I could feel today when I was walking around that it was like irritated, but I thought it was just like a heat rash, from like sweat drying underneath the brace, and then sweating again, and just it was getting all like clammy and itchy and so on. A heat rash, basically. But when I finally set up camp today and took the brace off, that was a grim sight, because the whole area underneath the brace is swollen up, and there are abrasions of various sorts, and some of them are infected, clearly, and I could see there was pus on the inside of the brace as well. I'm sorry if this is too much information, but I'm just trying to explain what's happened. And so, I Problem is also like I don't ever have any first aid kits with me or anything like that when I do stuff like this, so I don't have any sort of anything to sterilize or wash the area. So the best I could do really was just pour the little bit of water that I had to spare over it to try and get out any dirt and bacteria, but I couldn't wipe it because I had nothing to wipe it with, and I can't wipe it with my hands because my hands are just dirty as fuck. Yeah, so luckily it's very breezy, so I've just sort of had my knee out, just trying to dry it off, and in the hopes that it will kind of repair itself, do what it needs to do, and not make me have to go to a doctor or a hospital, God forbid, if it actually the infection progresses. But yeah, I mean, I should be able to tomorrow. I'm kind of in the middle of nowhere at the moment, like in just these fields. I suppose these are some of the fields where like battles would have taken place on before. Actually, I did pass a few memorials, not too long before arriving here, so it has that kind of vibe about it. Feels very forlorn and somber, I would say. Could just be complete projection on my part because I don't have the historical facts at my disposal. But yeah, tomorrow I should be able to get something to just actually properly clean it. I'll get some like alcohol or something. Just rub it in there. Get some like what is it, like napkins or tissues or like towels or whatever. Try and clean it properly and dry it out, and yeah, probably not put on that brace again because that's fucked. Oh, I just remembered one more thing that I was gonna say. Sorry, this is very like disjointed and rambly, and probably no one's listen. Well, some people will listen to this, but very few people will. So thank you if you do. I don't know. I don't know. Thank you for what. I don't know. I don't know if anyone's gaining anything out of this, other than myself now, just by just keeping myself company. So I don't know. I don't know. Oh yeah. So the like an observation I had about Belgium. I don't really like it, to be honest. For one, it has this very at least in like the suburban areas, has like this very like it just feels like too put together. It has this sort of like uncanny sterility to it. Is the best way that I could put it. It kind of feels like the houses, like the environment in that movie Edward Scissorhands. It's like this very like Lynchian sort of vibe. Like everything's too squeaky clean, and it doesn't feel correct. Yeah, I think I would hate living here if I had to live here. The environment, the just like the the nature and stuff is just so bland. Like at least in this part of the country, I don't know what the rest of the country is like further south and so on, or like more in the center. But here at least it's just flat, just miles and miles of flat land, dead flat land as far as the eye can see. Been to a few countries like that, and yeah, they all just kind of feel like the same place. You got Denmark, Netherlands, of course, they're famously flat. Latvia, Estonia. Yeah, it's very uninteresting, very like punitive to the mind. Yeah, and there are so many other things, but this happens to me anywhere and everywhere and anywhere. Of just particular angles of things, or like a particular way, like a curve in a road, or like the way the sun catches on some brickwork or something like this, just fills me with this deep sense of sadness and kind of despair. And I've had this my whole life. It's like very, very weird. It doesn't really make any sense to me, but just some things, like particular details of things, are just drain. I feel like they're draining my life force out of me, and I'm just left feeling so depleted and hopeless. Like it is as if existence has revealed its fundamental emptiness, its hollowness, and yet one is still expected to persist despite this. Something like that. I don't know. Maybe I'll try and pick this up another time and see if I can unpack it more. But I think today is the best day to do it because I am uh, cream crackered. Yeah. I trust I will sleep well tonight, or I will at least sleep. And yeah, tomorrow we'll try and continue, or the continuation will happen in of itself, right? This is the thing, right? It's I'm not the man at the helm, right? Something like that. I don't know. Whatever. I'm gonna finish this now because this is torture. Okay. What the hell?